Hi, friend. I am so excited to connect with you today about creating an amazing logo that you love. So, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to talk briefly about logos, how to make an amazing one. What are some tips you should keep in mind when doing your designs? And then we're going to get into Canva and I'm going to show you behind the scenes about some things of creating a logo, what things to keep in mind, how to make one that looks good and reflects your brand, and some design tips inside there. So, let's get started doing this. When you get a chance, tell me how familiar you are with Canva, or keep it here, in the training and let us know, because we'd like to learn about what everyone can do. And it's such an amazing tool. So first of all, let's just talk about the logo design tips for a quick second. So here's our agenda. We're going to talk a little bit about logo ideas and things like that, what you can do to create a logo, how to get balance in one, how to bring in some of the things from your mood board or your colors and all of those tips. We're going to go through a couple of working things so you can see me actually design some and you can see me customize some of the things that I have pulled up as examples to show you. And then we're going to chat a little bit about actually using your logo. What are some things to remember when you're actually doing the design, how to get it out to social media and be able to share it, and all of those fun tips. So if you don't know me, my name is Jessica Wangelin. I'm a wife, a mom of two. I live in a 120-year-old house in Buffalo, New York. I love DIY projects and natural living. Those are my jams. But I'm a branding and marketing specialist. I've gotten to work with dozens and dozens of women to create and establish their brands online and do some amazing things. Here's some examples of work that I've done with a Goal Digger team and other people. It's been really fun to connect with them. So I do everything from brand designs to logos and all kinds of marketing things in between. So let's get started. Talk a little bit about logos. Now, some of this you probably already know, of course. So logos are the graphic design element that makes up your brand, right? So usually it combines some kind of font or some kind of element. Some people just use like an element like like target bullseye kind of thing, right? Most of the time you see a name with a brand and a logo design, right? So basically it creates like your image, your trademark online. It's really only part of your marketing strategy because other parts of your brand include, of course, your personality, your messaging, and all of those things that go along with it, right? But it's used to identify, a specific product. You can have a brand or a logo for a product, that kind of thing, or like a course or something like that you're creating, or specifically for a group. But of course, really just general and overall. I tell people that as long as your logo fonts and colors are cohesive, you can really use it in such a variety of formats. And so you can have a lot of different ways that you showcase a logo online. And we're going to go over some of those. So here's a couple of things of why, of course, you want to make an amazing logo. It helps people to recognize you once they start to see it again and again. They do connect the colors and the fonts and things like that with your message, right? And your mission. It helps people to just remember what you're doing, like, again, color recognition and things. And then you want to make sure that it kind of does reflect your value. And that comes about when we have fonts that are reflective of people's personality, fonts that are modern, if that's your style, things like that. So we know some of the basics about why we all want to have an amazing logo, and you definitely will. So here are some tips to create a logo that you love, really. It should just be very simple, straightforward, and easy to recognize, right? So you want to make sure that the colors are in the right shades and things like that. Like you don't have a dark blue on a black background or things like that. It could be versatile for sure. You want to have a logo look really good, both in color and black and white, because depending on what you're creating, you may be using it in some variety of those formats. You definitely want to think about the message and the feel that your logo conveys. Now, logos generally can be really just typeset, where it's just the wording, perhaps with some elements around the wording, because then you often go and use that on different designs. So I tell people, don't look at a logo and think that it's perhaps too simplistic, because once you start to put it with social media covers and other elements, website pages, things like that, it really does stand out with all of those things combined that come together to match and connect with your brand, right? And then I always make sure to tell people, you pick colors and fonts that match your personality, right? So most of the time, colors, which I know you've learned about those, come from the things that you like your wardrobe, the decorations you have in your home, things that you're naturally drawn to. And people can have a variety of colors. So some people really just want black and white or something straightforward. Some people want a lot of colors. I say there's no really hard, fast rule about how many or how few colors or things like that to have in a logo. So let's talk a little bit about Canva and how you get to work with it. So everybody knows about Canva. It's amazing. We use it daily, right? So super friendly and intuitive to use. Now, don't forget, Canva actually has both an opportunity to use it in your browser tab. So you can obviously be doing that at canva.com and logging into your account there, but they do have a desktop version. If you're not familiar with that, you can download Canva for your desktop and use it. That's what we're actually looking at right now. So you can basically see how, just use it in a little bit of a different way. So it's not always browser based, and it's its own kind of standalone app. It also has the phone app, which is really amazing. A lot of great tools and opportunities to just download things and create designs on your phone. And then you can, of course, have teams. So a lot of people will set up a Canva team and be able to share their designs with others. So don't forget, if you're working with different people in your business, you can create a team with them. Make sure you share the designs, lots of ideas for collaboration and things like that too. So who's excited? Who's ready? Let's get started and get to designs. So we're here at my Canva desktop. And what I'm actually going to do is just go back to the home and show you some general things that like you would see, on the desktop in terms of creating your logo, right? So you always come to the home. It asks you what you'd like to design. You can pick a whole lot of things from here, but mainly it will show you, you can go right to the templates part if you want to pick out a logo template for that. Or it can go to the projects part, which is where all of your recent designs and things like that in. And then there's all these different tools, of course, that it has, the content planner, the brand section, which you definitely want to get into when you're setting up your logo, and then different folders and things like that you have for projects. But if you want to create a design, so we're going to talk about logos, of course, today. So we're going to go to logos, and you can see you can be on this templates idea that it shows you where you can do suggested templates for a logo. Or you can pick actually one of these predetermined documents that it's going to create. So a logo at 500 square, an animated logo would have moving elements for it, a clothing logo, some other kind of things. If you're, you have a band or you're looking to do a group logo or something very specific, they do have general like niche specific categories of businesses in there. You could pull one of those. Some of those might appeal to people, but you can go ahead and see all the templates that they have for logos, of course, and just get an idea. This might be a really good way for you to kind of see what some colors and designs look like on some different backgrounds. And if one of these catches your eye, of course, go ahead and click on it, pull it, and you can start tweaking it and make it your own from there. But we're going to do something, another way to create a logo is up here, the purple thing. So when you put in the purple button that says create a design, when you go up to there and you put in logo, you get these different options too, right? So interestingly enough, they give you some options for social media and things like that. And again, the animated part, some different pharmacy logos, there's like musician logos, all kinds of things like that in there. But basically, we really just want to do a straightforward logo. So when you go ahead and pick that, you get a 500 square design, which is a great place to start for a logo, even if your final design comes out being more of the horizontal kind of layout. So here's a couple of ways that you can get started with this, really. The first thing that I often do when I am creating a logo for a design or any kind of project in Canva actually is just to put a heading on it. So we're going to do like example logo just so you can see it. And the great thing about this is that if you leave this as page 1 of your design, once you're going to your Canva account, you're going to see really quickly, either on the desktop or your phone, what design this is, so that the first page actually isn't the design itself. This is a little organization tip. It helps you kind of keep your things categorized in Canva because you have probably a lot of them. And on the second page of the logo design kit, what I always do is bring in a color palette. So here's this one, for example, we're going to take and put into the design. So say we're going to work with these colors in this design. You can copy and paste yours in here. You can create circles or squares. You can copy things from another document and bring them in here too. But what this does is then when you go to create something in the document, if you go to change the color of it, the document colors are the brand colors that you brought into this specific design project. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense about doing that. So let's go ahead and add a page here. I do keep all of our designs kind of in one design, all the options for the design pages together. So that's really easy for you to see how all of those, work. You're not cluttering up your Canva with too many documents in there. But there's a couple of ways to get started creating a logo. You can do it, of course, from the designs. Canva gives you a lot of design templates that you can start with. in terms of creating a design. So you might see one of these and really love it and want to customize it on your own, make it your own with your name, your other fonts or colors or things like that. But there's other things that you can do to get started with a logo just from scratch, really, too. So you can go to the text section over here and just add a heading, add a subheading, and start to customize those. You can also go ahead and look at the font combinations that they have set up already. These are things that they designed. I find that these tend to be very highly stylized. So that's something that you'd like. Go ahead and use that, of course. Everything is customizable. But you can also go ahead and start with the element section. Like if you want to start with a background that's a circle or a square or a line in your design, go ahead and do that. So we're going to start with just creating something that's like just text-based. So you can add a text box. You can just put in a heading that you've already have in your brand kit. So we're just going to use a generic name here for a logo design. So of course you can type in anything that you need. The fonts are a really fun part, of course, of Canva. There's a whole lot of them, so you can definitely get lost in a little bit of the list of what's available for fonts. But the interesting thing about these is under the text section of the fonts, you can see some of the styles and things that they have here, and you can bring those into your own element. You can also see some of those things like little graphics and things like that in terms of that might be able to be edited in terms of text. But what's really fun about that is just to kind of look around and see how you can get some of the different parts here. So specifically when you go to like text, adding a text box, adding a title, something like that, you can see all the things that you've recently used and styles and things. So go ahead and take a look around about what they have. And you can find different fonts. If you know the names of them, you can type them in like something like this. It's really nice that they show you font combinations here, which is a really great way to get started with a logo if you don't know what you're going to create. So to delete something, you just click on it and delete, of course. So you can look through these and they have some really nice combinations of things. You can always edit, delete parts of it. Here's a kind of a common design. To get it into your actual page, you just click on it and, go ahead, it will get added right there. And then these things, when you see this box around here, that means that these are grouped. So you can go ahead and ungroup them so that you can change them specifically. But then you can go ahead and start to kind of customize your own font and logo design in general. So say we just want to do something really simple, like this is a typeset logo, basically, which is a collection of fonts. And then you could put something like your website here. Whatever that might be. So this is just a way to get started doing some of this, picking up the font combinations that they have already here, looking through the font list, going ahead and getting started with that. So the great thing about doing a logo here is that it does give you a lot of options and you can play around and add some things. And of course, that are really going to be reflective of you. So let's go ahead and take a look at a brand board so you can kind of see some different options of things that you would make in terms of a logo. So here's one, for example. This is a logo branding design that I had made. Here are the specific, let's go to this one first. Here are the specific different variations of creating a logo. So when you make one, feel free to make more than one type of logo design for your brand. This doesn't just have to be one thing unless you kind of want to keep it very straightforward and very simple. But when you see these right here, this gives you an idea of all the different ways and elements that you can create different designs with the same font and the same colors. And even if you have something like a leaf or a different element or a circle or something like that, bringing that in to use your design. So this one, for example, has two fonts, one that actually three fonts here. One that is called sans serif, which means it doesn't have the little feet that stick out of it. Just a straightforward kind of box type font. This one is more of a design type font, and it has like some elements at the tops and the bottom, so you can see it a little more kind of well-rounded. And then this one actually is a font that is in italics. So when you take those, go ahead and don't forget about making them a little bit different by making them bold, making them italic, making them stand out a little bit differently. But you can see in this how it kind of balances out, because this is just straightforward, easy to read. This is a little stylized, and then this kind of catches your eye at the bottom because it's a little different. So you could have something like what it says here, your name in the bold, a tagline or not, or any kind of like header, type intro about you. Now, a different way to do that is to use, of course, the same fonts and perhaps add a little design element to those, Those are with the effects in Canva. So you can make them curved. You can have different lifting effects. You can have different outline effects from the fonts itself. So making it have like a background that's shifted over. There's some really fun ways to do things like that. And then here's another way, same thing, to use the same kind of fonts, the same exact fonts for a brand, and then just creating them in a different layout. So this one, for example, is with an element on the side. If you get to the point where you have a very unique element, you could actually only really just use that for the font itself, for your logo design. It would be really recognizable to have something like that. Circle fonts, circle logo designs are really popular right now. It's a nice kind of feminine balance to just have something really simplistic and have your initials show up. So you could have it with your name or just with your initials, having both of those, of course, if it's recognizable. People that have something like a brand name, like if you have some kind of business name, you definitely would want to try to include a logo with your name below it in some fashion, at least at first, so people start to recognize that. If you have a specific hashtag that goes with your logo, don't forget about making that in turn, along with some of your different logo designs. So here are just an example of, these might look a little small, but this is actually a variety of all of the different logos that I actually use for my business in different formats. So some ways when you want to start to think about how you're going to use this is to realize that you're going to want to put it onto opt-ins or on products that you sell, the bottom of social media stickers, story backgrounds, things like that. Of course, social media cover images, headers, banners, posts itself, all the things. So you can see once you have like one or two fonts in a variety of colors, you can make all of these different variations of things. And it can be really give you a lot of different options in terms of design. So this was another example of a logo design that has some different curved elements to it, a nice cursive font, and a different element with the heart. So here in general could be a very basic primary logo for someone, but then this could be more of a horizontal version. So you want to make sure that it shows up in horizontal opportunity as well, if you want it to show it on a website header or something along that line. In terms of sizing, it doesn't matter if your logo is square, circular, horizontal, but it is really nice to have those different formats so that you have the opportunity to actually use it in different formats that you want to use it in. So then making something like this only with the specific element from your logo can be really great. And then a great thing about this too is also when you go ahead and download this design, so you want to do it, you want to make sure that you can do it with a transparent background. This will give you a sticker, which is really nice. You can keep that then on your camera roll and place stickers right onto your social media stories or use it in other designs and things like that as well. So that's a fun thing to think about creating logos. So here's a couple of things, like I was just saying, about using your logo itself on the bottom of social media designs and things like that. So you can see the bottom of some of these, it just says my name. That might be a place that you want to use it. And also looking into things like Instagram posts. So you can see that here's just an example of a circular logo with some initials. Here's another one of an example of something that might look like on an Instagram post. So it gives you an idea of how you want to shape the fonts and how you want to balance them out in terms of what you want to do. So going back to our example here of a logo, I want to make sure that you can see how to just do a couple of quick design changes within Canva itself. When you want to edit something, this you just select on it with your mouse, of course, and you can go up to the menu bar here to make all kinds of different design elements to it. The A with the colors, of course, is the colors. That can give you a change for that. If you want to make anything different colors, of course, go ahead and do that. The interesting thing about doing this is that you can edit text and make it different transparencies. So there's also a menu here with the 3 dots. So you can underline things, you can make it all caps or lower caps. That's a really nice different design opportunity in there. And then you can use the transparency here. So that means just how much you can or cannot see through. So once you lower the transparency here, you see it becomes more faded, basically kind of like a shadow. That's a really nice effect to do with different fonts. But basically what you want to do is make sure that you have fonts that are balanced together in your logo. So let's start again and just go through like a quick example. We'll do the same name and something like this. and we'll go ahead and just start to pick something else. So if you have a brand kit already laid out in Canva itself, of course, that will come up. Your brand fonts will show up. But there's some other ones here, of course, that are commonly used. That's what you'll see in there. You can upload your own fonts to Canva as well. If you've purchased one or you get one for private, private use, you can upload that here. Or if you bought in the commercial rights for it, of course, you can upload fonts to Canva. But then they show you a lot of different popular fonts, and you can, of course, scroll through so many of these. There really is a lot. But the great thing about it is you can actually do searching by fonts by different types. So what they're like. So for example, handwriting, you want something like that, you just click here. It's going to give you all the kind of script cursive fonts, which are really nice to see. Brittany is a font that I use for my brand, but there are so many different ones that are just really great designs that you might really love for your brand. So what you can do is go ahead and try these out. Of course, increasing the size, you pull on the corners of the box, or you can edit the number up here at the top in the menu bar, and go ahead and try that out. A great thing about using fonts here is that you can click on it and duplicate it. That's this first little button here. There's some other options, of course, about copying, pasting it, making it animated and such. If you want to just set yourself up with a different font wording here, you can go ahead and do that. So let's just go with our lifestyle blogger wording as well. So now if I had something like this on a tagline, I wouldn't want it to be the same font as my name was going to be. So I would go ahead, of course, and look for something else. I'm in the handwriting section here. So I just click the arrow to go back to the general font section, and I click in the box because it's asking me to search for fonts, and I can scroll through and see. So they have fonts that are described as corporate, as headings, big display fonts. Paragraphs, of course, are used for really like body copy. This is the serif and the sans serif that I was mentioning about. The sans serif ones are usually the ones that are without the little feet on the bottom or the top of the letters. And the serif ones do have that. So you can see a lot of different options that they really give you. Elegant, vintage, really great feels if you want to scroll through these and see even like more customizations in terms of handwriting, like brush fonts, funky fonts, geometric, things like that. Let's go back to the modern one because we want it to balance a little bit with our script font. So we're going to choose that and go from there. So here's a lot of little different options for this. We're going to reduce that quite a bit, the size here. And then maybe I want to go and capitalize it. Make that a little bit smaller. What does it look like if I have italics? Don't love that. So we'll change it back. So we can just go ahead and pick and scroll and see the things that you like. Again, making some variations to the colors, doing things like this. So let's chat a little bit about bringing some elements into your logo design. So Canva has an amazing and very robust element section, which is all of the collection of design components that you can include into a design in any fashion. So they have lines and shapes, other graphics that you can find in here, stickers, both non-animated and animated. I don't know if you would actually bring a photo or a video into a logo design specifically. That probably would be more likely for other design things. But there's a ton of things you can look for. The part that you might search the most for here is just really for adding circles, shapes, things like that. So say I put in circle, and then this is what it gives me. And you can see up here at the top, it is a shape, which is really nice. This is actually relatively new in Canva. They didn't have this for a while. And when you click on the color, you can change the color of the circle. And then you can change the background of it too. So you can have a border here with the circle. And then it will give you the option to change the color of the border itself. So say I want the fill of the circle to be transparent. I just click on the part with a little red line that makes it see-through. There's nothing there. It's not even white. And then I want to make the outline for it. Which one should we do? Let's do this light color, this like tan color that we have. So here's a way that you can add this kind of element to a design going for that. So let's duplicate this page and show you a little bit about making some fonts that are some elements that are how you can make them rounded and things like that. We talked a little bit about that. So here you can right away see it's just a different variation of the logo with the full name or just with the initials. And say you wanted to edit this one a bit, you can go ahead and select that, go to the effects. We're going to change the curve here, and you can see the curve at the bottom. It's just really a number along the number line. You can make it more curved. You can make it less curved. We're going to go with the negative, so it curves up the other way. And we're going to make it a little bit straighter so it fits around the circle. A couple of tips for doing this If you wanted to go along the circle, you can see when you have this, if it matches up to be the same size, it's gonna see how it goes right along the line there. It's gonna match up really well. But of course, if you want to go and change this, you just want to make it a little bit designed, tilted over here at the edge. Go ahead, of course, and play around with those and make some different things for what that looks like for you. So that's a little bit of a different way that you can make a logo variation and having it be balanced. I would increase the size of this to fill the white space here. You definitely want your logo to be balanced. It's a really nice element if you want the letters to kind of be on top of each other, like overlap. That makes it look a little bit three-dimensional, makes it a little bit more movement to the eye for somebody looking at the design. So that's a great way to do something like that. So again, you can see right away how you just with two different fonts in an element, you have two different variations. Another thing that you want to make when you are doing your logo design is called a favicon, which is the tiny little picture you see up in your browser to the left of the name of the website that you're on. You'll recognize them, of course. Facebook has just the F, that's their favicon. You can see pretty much everyone does. The key about the favicons is you want to make it very simple. So say we were to do this, and you don't really want to have words, so nobody would be able to read it because of the size. So you want to make it as much of the size of the design as you could without anything going off the edges. We are right in the center there. So when you click and hold down the design, you can see the guides come up so you can know your design is centered. And then what you would do to use this, if you're placing this on your website, is you go ahead and download this with a transparent background. So it doesn't show up with a white box around it. So that's a little bit of just tips for using the formats. So we're going to go back and just talk about a couple of quick things that then you can do with your logo when you are done with it. And so we have finished Canva, and then here we are. So logo formats to make. You definitely want to make a primary design for sure to use that. So like I was saying, a main logo that you might want to use more regularly, but that doesn't mean you can't have number two, the alternative marks, they're often called, or sub logos, where you have different variations, both of the logo itself, of your initials, some kind of different elements, things like that might be really fun to do for you because you'll want them in different formats. And that's really nice to be able to show on your designs, have some initials, have some different ways to show it. And then the favicon, like I said, if you're using that for a website, it's a great thing to have. The favicon, I would say, can also really be used as a sticker. If you go ahead and create a design that has a transparent background, save it to your camera roll and use it on a sticker on your social media story. So every time when you're designing those, you go to the little sticker option on Facebook or Instagram, and you can have your logo show up as a sticker on your designs. Really great to have that. And then get some different formats. So a circular logo, if you like square, horizontal, that gives you some design options and opportunities to use it in different ways. And then think about what your logo is going to look like on different backgrounds. So like black, white, transparent, things like that. So just some logo formats to make so you have an idea. And again, going over what makes your amazing logo is a logo that you love, right? Reflects you and your message, can be used in a variety of formats. And a big secret is your logo will absolutely grow with you. You are going to change it over time. You may even change your brand, the name, the title, the subline, any of that, the colors. Those are all very normal things. It's not as though you have to pick something that you have to keep forever. Of course, you want it to grow with you and reflect your business as it evolves over time. So here's a couple of quick tips too. Once you have a logo, now what do you do, right? This is an exciting time because it really does kind of kick off your opportunity and your next phases for your business. I've had so many people tell me that they just feel like they can get started. They feel confident now that they have a logo. They feel like they're really getting somewhere with their business. And so here's a couple of things to do. Go over to the brand kit section in Canva and make sure that you set up your brand kit in there. You're going to add the color codes that we had seen before, the fonts, you can add those as well. And then download your logos, keep them on your phone camera roll, keep them on your computer if you need that to do that as well. Because you will use them from other things when you have different software and you're setting up things as well. And then keep them upload those to the logo section of Canva, because then when you do create designs, you can pull up that logo folder and pop them right into anything that you're making. Share it on social media, of course, announce your new brand. Everyone loves to see it. They'll be super excited for you. And then make sure that you have, oh, this is not correct. Let's see that. Share on social. Sorry about that. And then make sure that you have some different formats to for like static post reels, things like that. You want to make sure that you can have them for like an email signature, for stories, for email opt-in, things like that, all your lead magnets, etc. And then create some designs. So now that you have it, you'll probably be very excited to get to Canva to create some different social media designs and make things like your background images, anything else that you're creating right now for your business. Social headers are very important. Get your logo on those. And of course, in your opt-ins. And then I would suggest you really do some planning. So this could be a part where you kind of were waiting for a logo to happen. You're excited about it happening. And then you can create some new things and take some next steps for your business, right? So here's a couple of quick examples of all the places that you can actually share your logo. These are like a couple of them that we've said, but a lot of people forget about some of these. So just go ahead and take a review about where you might put them. So Instagram, all the opportunities there. Don't forget the highlight covers is a great place for that if you're using them. And then stories, of course, all over the platforms. YouTube has the cover images, things like that. The beginning and the ending screens on your videos, wherever you're sharing those. If you're doing blogging, don't forget about your website, cover, email signatures that we had talked about, Facebook cover profiles, and Pinterest, of course. Make sure your logos are on all of your pins so people can recognize those and get them back to your brand. So I hope that this helps you have an amazing logo, understand what to do to create some amazing designs for yourself and for your business. Please come and find me at jessicawangelin.com. I share a ton of tips about this, including all things about branding and marketing on my blog and my podcast. And hopefully we will connect sometime soon. Thanks, everyone.